Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, everybody. Nathan Rich here, aka Hot Pot King. How's everybody doing today? Technically, here in China, it is not Christmas anymore. It's the day after Christmas. But traditionally, at least in America, the day after Christmas is basically the same as Christmas. You still have little kids running around playing with their toys, except for the ones that their uncle bought them, which they don't enjoy. So those toys kind of make their way under the couch or, get repurposed as dog chews, etc. Hope the volume's okay. Obviously, the picture looks amazing. How's everybody doing? Today, I wanted to, just go over a quick video. I happened to be recommended a video by a dude named JP, apparently. Looking at his videos, I've noticed that... oh, sorry, my cat is screaming. Looking at his videos, I noticed I have apparently seen one before. Let me share with you guys. Desktop left. Here we go. So this is AwakenWithJP. Apparently I've seen this one, Socialist Media, The New Rules. I never really heard of this guy before that. This was just a very sarcastic video in which he was kind of suggesting that Facebook and Twitter and I guess Instagram are socialists or something. I didn't really get the video. I didn't think it was very good. Anyway, today I got a recommendation for A Communist Christmas, a video by this Awaken with JP. And I watched it. I kind of just skipped around. As you can see, I didn't even watch the whole thing. But it's very interesting, this guy. I don't know if all of his videos are like this, but this video in particular is super, super interesting. Sorry, now you can actually see it, this one. And it's interesting not because of the content, but because the way that he delivers his content is very typical of an issue that I think about sometimes. I mentioned it before on the video that I did about, I think his name is Jesse Waters, the Fox idiot who was basically talking crap about China and Chinese people for having the coronavirus affecting them. Is your cat in heat? No, although I think she learned this meowing from when she was in heat when we first got her. She was screaming and screaming all night. And I think now she's realized that, this is how you get attention. You just scream and scream. Murloc Knight, thank you. Thank you very much. So in this video about Jesse Waters, I talked a little bit about something called toxic Americanism, which is something that is kind of, it's everywhere, but I've seen it mostly in America. And what it is people, will have this extreme confidence about what they're saying, especially when what they're saying is potentially dangerous or hateful or controversial. And when you dig into how they got to that understanding or that claim, they have almost no knowledge at all. So it's this very weird ultra confidence built on nothing. Almost like the amount of confidence that they have in what they are saying, in their mind, makes up for the lack of evidence or lack of perspective. Now, I don't think people should be expected to do a bunch of research every time they talk about something, but it is interesting when I go to, for example, the United States, and so many people tell me about China, but they've never been to China and they don't know any Chinese people, and they're just getting their news from the internet or whatever, and then they try to correct me and tell me what they know about this country, that type of thing. Now, you can see it with Jesse Waters when he does this this basic attack on China and that kind of thing. But it's typified in a video like Awaken with JP has done. This is actually the pinnacle of it, because while people like Jesse Waters are making these really bizarre claims like, China can't feed its people and that's why they're all eating bats and causing the coronavirus, etc. At least he's saying something. Because Awaken with JP, as we'll see, doesn't even say anything. He just does something that's very, very sneaky and tricky. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at this video. Sorry about my cat. All right. Let me know if the volume's okay. So it says includes paid promotion. He'll start talking about some crap later. So let me know how the audio is. I will try to look.
Hi there, obedient person. This year for the holidays, you'll get to enjoy some special restrictions to help you replace the Christmas spirit with the spirit of communism. It's beginning to look a lot like communism.
Okay, so he's being sarcastic. He's obviously a funny guy. And it's already a little bit weird because what does anything about restrictions have to do with communism? But I guess he's going to tell us.
Everywhere you go this Christmas, it's not that you can't enjoy your family. It's just that you get to enjoy your family in different ways. The ways that we tell you you can enjoy your own family. I'm not coming home this year, Mom. I've been ordered to stay at home. I probably won't see you before you die. Merry Christmas. That felt good. It's enjoyable to do my part. Your year.
Okay, so he's clearly being sarcastic about the restrictions for COVID. And, he's doing a little skit. But you'll notice he hasn't actually said anything. He hasn't said that the restrictions are wrong. He hasn't said what else should be done. He's just kind of doing this funny way to portray it. But as this goes on, it'll get a little bit more clear of why I think that this is a very, very good video to study.
Dedicated obedience to tyrannical governors is helping replace the normal joy of the holiday spirit with the increased joy of lockdown-related blessings, like increased depression, suicides, child abuse, domestic abuse, overdoses, unemployment, bankruptcies, and starvation.
So he just said that we're all happy to buckle under these tyrannical governors and contribute to all those things. For some reason, there was another thing that he didn't mention that could spread, other than depression and all this other stuff. It's, what the hell is it called? Oh yeah, COVID-19. He didn't mention that one. Now, tyrannical governors, that's quite an interesting way to put it. Because America is not a democracy. It's a, democratic republic, basically. And the way that it's set up is that these different provinces are, in fact, states. They're, initially they weren't exactly part of one country. 1776 was not the beginning of the United States. It was the beginning of the colonies becoming independent from Britain. It wasn't until, I think it's 1781, that they actually formed together as a union. And the point is, the states have some degree of autonomy, but you still vote for your governors. So this whole idea that the governor is tyrannical, even though you voted for him, is kind of a mark against this democratic system. Maybe not all democracy, but certainly the one that we have. So far, nothing he said has anything to do with communism. But let's carry on.
You should be proud of your obedience because it helped you contribute to these things. Warms my heart. Furthermore, this year the holidays are just going to be different. Instead of getting together with your friends and family in person and risking the transmission of joy, love, and connection,
and COVID-19,
you are to practice socialism distancing.
Okay, this is where it starts to get interesting. Instead of being together with your family in person, you're going to practice socialism distancing, which is actually quite interesting because I live in a socialist country. And here, for Christmas, you can actually go in person to see your friends and family. You understand what I just said? The socialist countries in the world, for the most part, you can go in person to be with your friends and family for Christmas. I hope that's very clear. He's pretending like the reason or, the mechanism that you can't be with your friends and family in America has something to do with socialism, when in fact, in socialist countries, you can be with your friends and family, and in America, you can't.
This season to have unconstitutional authoritarian rules dictate what you can do. Would you like to be told you can't leave your own home, told what you can and cannot do in your own home, and told that you can't celebrate Christmas? Well, this year, you are being told these things.
Dubious. I mean, you're not being told that you can't celebrate Christmas. You are being told that, depending on your state, there's restrictions on how many people you can risk killing. So, I mean, is that authoritarian? Yes, it is. Is it wrong? Well, I don't know. It is allowed within the system that we've built, and this really deepens and broadens the problem with this type of sarcastic video that's built on the assumption that everyone else watching it has made the same assumptions as the person creating it. There's no facts or statements or claims in it. He just already knows that the people watching it will already feel as he does. And so they can all just share in this big feeling about things without actually having to really think about it. Because if you take a bunch of people and they vote on a government, and then that government is run the way that they voted for it to be, and then they don't like the result of that, for example, they're made to stay home during a pandemic, it's a little weird to criticize the government for that, when in fact that's the government as it was created. Somebody with a unreadable name says, "Is this live or pre-recorded?" It is pre-recorded. I have not just read your comment. So let's continue with this guy, who, by the way, hasn't said a single word about communism.
And you can do all your holiday shopping nationally with Amazon, as all local businesses have been exterminated. But in reality, you probably don't have any more money left to tithe to Amazon, as we've helped you achieve poverty/social equality. So
that part's a little bit, strikes a chord with me, which is that the big corporations, they don't really care about any kind of shutdown, whereas the small mom and pop stores, if there are any left in America, are suffering the most. So people have been waiting for their, what was it, $1,200 check or $600 check or whatever it is now, which I guess is supposed to help with rent. But he's right in that the sort of little guys are just going to suffer from this. Now, there's more to say about this than just, wow, that's communist fault somehow. For example, now I actually don't get those checks because I don't qualify for any of them, but I don't need them. But some people do need those, and they do have small businesses. But the thing is, one of the most striking aspects of American business, if you go there, is that there are almost no small businesses left. They're all pretty much replaced by huge chains and corporations, due in part to this push for this open market capitalism and very little amount of protections for the small guys, because the small guys don't make the big money. Anyway, that's a more complicated subject, but I doubt that people who, I guess he's on the right, I doubt that they're doing much to actually stop these major corporations from expanding, other than just sort of complaining about it when they get censored on these tech platforms. So there's a lot more to say. Anyway, so far, again, none of this has anything to do with workers' parties, workers' parties owning the means of labor, with socialism, with revolution, with communism. Like, what is he even talking about? So far, all I've heard is he doesn't like several aspects of the democratic system of America.
Instead of exchanging gifts, exchange glances of hunger pains with your loved ones. Because you don't have money to buy food either. Ooh, looks like you'll need more government because of what the government did to you, so you can have some government handouts.
So yeah, more government because the government did something to you. He's being very vague here. This is a common right-wing scare tactic, I guess you could say. But in the old days, the people who really, really wanted more government were the people on the right. They really want this huge, huge military and, to go out and push our ideology out on the world. And they still do that, especially the neocons. But nowadays, the left has also succumbed to this very far-right idea. And, even today I was looking at an NPR article called something like, why we need to put pressure on this country and that country. And this is like, I thought NPR is supposed to be left wing. Anyway, so it's very interesting to see somebody who I think he's on the right complain about government size when our military budget is the size of several other governments combined. So, I agree. Let's cut back on the military, especially when it comes to expansionism and adventurism in other countries, like, especially in Asia and the Middle East.
Sure to keep voting communism/blue in the next election.
Communism/blue. If you've watched any of the communist content creators, one of the things that they really hate is the blue or Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party, they have many reasons for hating them. I don't want to say why they do. That's up to them. But they don't really get along. If you're on the right, you can conflate these two together if you want to, but they're actually quite different. And so far, again, nothing he said has anything at all to do with communism. And I'm going to get into why he said it this way in a little bit, but let's carry on.
So we can continue protecting you from what we're doing to you. In exchange for your vote, we'll let you think your vote counts. Hey kids, you're in luck, because the world's most trusted doctor has personally given Santa the shot. So if you don't get any presents, it's either because Santa's having an adverse reaction, or it's because your parents were obedient enough to protect your family from income this year.
So this is an interesting little dog whistle, I guess you could say. If you guys are familiar with this anti-vaxxers movement, these are people who think that vaccinations essentially do more harm than good. Usually it has to do with some kind of weird conspiracy involving aliens and whatever. And they suffer from essentially a very similar issue to a lot of the homeopathy concepts of basically a tiny microscopic amount of something in your body being of a similar amount of effect as a larger amount in your body. Now, they come to different conclusions about that, but anyway, there's this anti-vaxxers concept, and this guy isn't really talking about anti-vaxxing, but he is emphasizing this concept of like, well, if you get that vaccination, you could have an allergic reaction, you could have a negative reaction, which is absolutely true. Every single surgery, every single medical procedure, every drug, every single thing that you do at all in life, there are chances of negative reactions, negative consequences. The question really is balancing the two and following the advice of your, medically trained doctor, right? That's pretty standard stuff. You don't have to go along with science. You don't have to. But if you're going to go against it, you should have some kind of argument. And so far, all I've heard is he is smugly agreeing with those people who agree with him without anyone ever saying why they all think this.
Look at this lovely holiday photo of my family and I enjoying the communism holiday.
Again, here in a communist country, this is not at all what we are doing. So I don't know why you keep calling this a communist Christmas. That looks to me like a capitalist Christmas. Or what am I missing?
Put a mask on that kid now. Now that's better than how it used to be, isn't it? AOC's making a blacklist and she's checking it twice. Wouldn't it be a grand holiday treat if she can get all Trump supporters thrown in prison/concentration camps?
I mean, I don't even want to comment on this. This just seems ridiculous.
That way our democracy would be completely protected from freedom. For enough.
The interesting thing about this guy that sometimes makes me wonder if he's actually on the right is because it seems like even he seems to realize that the system that we have in America isn't exactly what people think it is. It isn't actually democracy, at least not in the way that people think that it is. You don't really have the power of vote, at least not in the way that average people tend to think that you do, et cetera, et cetera. So, in that respect, at least I can appreciate him for that. But again, 3 minutes into this thing, zero to do with communist or socialism, only to do with capitalism, and yet somehow this narrative is not about capitalism, it's about communism.
Number of years now, we've made it socially illegal for you to say Merry Christmas. We've exchanged it with Happy Holidays.
So this is kind of a stale, old complaint from the right now, but basically that you can't say Merry Christmas, and now everybody's got to say, Happy Holidays. It's not exactly as strict as they say. They tend to do that on the news, for example, corporate environments. I mean, if you're a person and you say Merry Christmas, in my experience, no one cares. I mean, Merry Christmas. That's the holiday that is today/yesterday in China. So I think this is just a sort of weird call to Christian people to be, scared of being banned. Personally, I don't really care what Christians do, but it would be nice if a lot of the Christians in America would at least admit the fact that their religion shouldn't be so tied in with the government and should support a separation of it from the state. I really wish that the motivations of America weren't so deeply tied with a really weird, death cult like Christianity.
And you went with it. Thank you for helping our efforts to erase religion, because you can't have communism with freedom of religion. We wouldn't want people following the Lord's guidance over our guidance.
So, suggesting that people should say is specifically going in the direction that he's complaining that it isn't. The more that you say Happy Holidays and the less that you say Merry Christmas, the more multi-religions that you support, the more religions that you are promoting and agreeing with. If somebody is a non-believer in the Judeo-Christian God and they have another holiday around that time and you say Happy Holidays, you're including them and Christianity. That goes along with freedom of religion. Whereas if you just say Merry Christmas, you're actually, in a very small way, granted, you're actually excluding those other religions. So while he's making it seem like saying Happy Holidays is some kind of attack on freedom of religion, in fact, continuing to only ever talk about one religion in America because it's had the strong connections for such a long time is closer to what he's talking about.
Yeah, and all churches are closed for the foreseeable future. I love a good coincidence.
I don't think that churches are closed. I think that you can't get in, have large gatherings of people within a certain distance. So if, for example, if you had an online program of prayer, I don't think that that's going to be closed down, do you? So does that sound like an attack on religion or an attack on gatherings of people? I mean, I'm sure he already knows this, but again, he hasn't actually said anything. Have you noticed that? Not one claim in this entire video.
And then the three wise men greeted baby Jesus.
I don't think we need to hear any more about that guy. But would you like to hear more about how your government is great and protects you? Well, they've scared you, so you're scared, and now they're protecting you from what they told you to be scared of. And that makes them great and trustworthy.
This is a really weird narrative because we know for a fact now that there were millions of cases of COVID 1 year ago in America. but they didn't say anything to the public for months. So, I mean, you might even say the truth is the opposite of what this guy's not claiming. He's kind of making it seem like the government is trying desperately to make you scared. Whereas, actually, it's more like this was going on for months and they didn't say anything and kept denying it and denying it and denying it until eventually admitting it. So, again, I don't know what he's talking about.
And it's communism.
Wait, communism? But I thought all these restrictions were about a virus.
Sure they are. This
What? Sorry. What does any of this have to do with communism? What is he talking about?
year, don't leave your home, don't gather, wear a mask, and there will be no dancing and no singing because it's not safe. However, what is allowed is fear, obedience, isolation, poverty, and therefore a growing dependency on your government.
Most of the poverty, I think, is probably coming from, I mean, I don't want to say too specifically, but I would assume or guess that a lot of it's coming from policies that are very hard to change due to people on the right, depending on the type of poverty. But I'm not an expert in that, so I won't say specifically. And it's just interesting, again, that the only thing that he seems to not like so far is authoritarianism, and when the government that he has voted for goes against what he wants it to do. And again, nothing to do with socialism or communism.
Because that all seems safe. And it would also be great if you could pretend that this year's restrictions are just going to be for this year. Because, of course, we'll be glad to hand you your freedoms back after we've taken them. So for the...
Isn't that an interesting thing he just said? Didn't say. Again, he's not really saying anything, but isn't that interesting what he just didn't say? Which is like, oh, I'm sure they'll just give it back to us, wink, wink. As if this is going to be the beginning of a total lockdown of America where everyone always has to wear masks and no one can celebrate anything. I mean, I don't even know what the hell he's talking about.
holidays, please keep being obedient and handing us your freedoms. You're doing a great job of doing your part.
Yes, if you are giving your freedoms over temporarily to not kill your friends and family with a disease, while the disease calms down and then everyone can get back to work, you are doing a good job. Thanks.
Dear Supreme Leaders, we wish you a very Merry Communist Christmas.
Okay. I don't see any communists on here. Do you guys see any communists on here? What the hell is he talking about?
I like the taste of communism.
That's it. That's the video, and the whole rest of this is an advertisement for some magnesium, which is interesting because Scientology also promotes magnesium. So that whole video, which is 5 minutes long, he didn't make any claims about anything. He didn't argue with anything. He didn't say anything was right or wrong. He just didn't say anything. He just made this joke about how everyone knows that this is just the truth of things, which is very interesting because most of what he didn't say were lies. And this is a really good way to study the way that you can communicate in the United States and the way that people think about things. He's kind of taking it, either he doesn't know this himself, or he's taking advantage of the fact that most people who don't think about politics very often, they think of communism as exactly the same thing as authoritarianism, which means that any time that the government does something that seems like it's removing rights, people like this guy can just say, communism, which is totally inaccurate. So he basically preys on the ignorance of people and conflates all these things together, either intentionally or accidentally. But he doesn't say them with confidence. He's so confident that he doesn't even have to say them. He just jokes about how obvious they are. And to me, this is just a very, very clear example of what I'm talking about when I say that there's not a whole lot that American citizens can learn from China right now. I think that there needs to be some correction of how we even think about these topics in the first place, because it's clear, it should be clear from watching that video, that this guy is either totally phony, as James Bond just said in the chat, or he's a victim of the same toxic Americanism. But the fact is, literally nothing in here at all, nothing had anything to do with communism or socialism, and everything had to do with the system that we have in America. And yet, somehow, the issues with the American system become the fault of communism, which really in this video just means authoritarianism, but it's authoritarianism on the arguably right-wing government that we have in America. Anyway, that's all I had to say about that video. Just another classic example, the type of stuff that I see on YouTube and I go, what the hell is this guy talking about? This is ridiculous. And he's huge, by the way. It's only been 3 days and he's got 900,000 views on this thing. He's got 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube. Very big. So there's so many people that watch this type of video, and this is like just pure reinforcing of your views. You learn nothing at all from this video. You just come there, you come to this video. If you already think these things, then you just feel like not only does he also get it, all of his subscribers, they get it too. Like, we just get it. We know what communism is. It's the government saying, hey, maybe we should lock down because more and more people are dying. Communist. Why was Karl Marx envisioning a time without a pandemic? How dare he? So, just a little stupid Christmas video that I got recommended. Anyway, what's up with you guys? Anything exciting going on? Only one super chat today. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate that. You know? Guess I'm going to have to scroll through some of the regular ones. What are you guys talking about? Making money? No democracy equals communist? Weird. Rabbit cult. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. Nathan, how old is your Iron Maiden shirt? I have several Iron Maiden shirts. This one's pretty new, I think. I think I got this like this year, maybe. He doesn't sound overly bright. But the U.S. is a slavery system. 1% own everything and everyone. Come on, that ain't communism. VX. Yeah, I don't think, like, I think that he is talking about the left wing in America as being the communists. I think that's what he means. It's not clear because, again, he never really says anything, and yet somehow it was a complete lie. Well, that was pointless. A serious take on a bad comedian skit. Well, I don't think he's a comedian. This is a very political channel. But if that was a waste of time, you can just go somewhere else. I mean, you don't have to watch my channel. Hey, Nathan, Merry Christmas. Thank you. Asia Tayan Asia Lex. Subliminal brainwashing. A lot of hate watchers today. Agreed. That's okay, though. Just guessing, but I don't think JP knows what communism actually is. You might be right. I mean, if he does, then this, like, just think about how weird that is. If he actually understands what communism is, like, what goes on in his mind when he makes a video like this? He must just literally not have the concept of, like, wanting to tell the truth or get a view out there. He must just really think, okay, what do right-wing people believe? I'll just make a video for them. I guess, right? As Chinese, I don't really know what communism is. Mr. Rich, maybe you can talk about the principles of communism. Well, I mean, I'm not really a communist, so probably not the best guy to ask. But I do know that it isn't being asked to stay home while people don't get sick. You know, it essentially has to do with workers taking control, basically. HK is not China. Really? That's weird. Fake moon landing was greatest shame to mankind. Here's the interesting thing about fake moon landing. If it was fake, which I don't see any real reason to think that it was, but if it was fake, then I'm pretty sure we can assume that subsequent journeys weren't faked. So it's not really that big of a deal, to me at least. I mean, if you said the first one was faked and later ones weren't, then from a technical point of view, it doesn't really matter, right? Nathan Rich, you're wrong about Hong Kong. Most protesters don't support independence. Most just want universal suffrage as promised in the Basic Law. Oh, Mike Foster, well, I guess there's several things you don't understand. First of all, Basic Law is not a promise. Second of all, if you're going to follow Basic Law, then you must also follow Article 23. Mike, I don't see you talking about Article 23 for some reason. It also doesn't talk about universal suffrage at all. So here's my advice, Mike, because I've heard this, I guess you could say, argument many times. Why don't you go and read Basic Law and try not to be emotional? Just read it. Okay? Jot down some notes on what it actually says. Then come back. Most Americans don't even know what capitalism or democracy are. It's sad. Well, I agree, Quantum Alchemist. I don't necessarily agree that it's sad because I kind of enjoyed my life before I had to think about all this crap. So it's not necessarily sad that they don't know, but I agree that they don't know. Care to react to the Future Files Chinese therapy excerpt about whether there are therapists in China? I don't know. That sounds very boring. Nathan, I love you. You have helped me come to a complete and less bigoted way of looking at U.S. and China. Thank you. They both have problems, but I love them both, and I want them to get along. And my culture in particular has a kind of nasty habit of starting from a position of not caring about the other side, just in general, especially when it comes to international relations, which kind of puts us in a situation where we're very susceptible to news media angling us to care more or less about certain things. Nathan, have you tried traditional Chinese medicine? Sure. Yeah, every hospital here will do some level of that. Rodney, where's your whiskey? I actually ran out. I've been kind of slowing it down since my leg got a problem. Oh, God, here we go. You see footprints on the moon. However, how come you don't see any dust world where the shuttle landed? How come? I don't know, dude. I'm not an astronaut. I don't care. But let me again, even if it was faked, I don't think that they would continue to fake it year after year after year. So what difference does it make? Guys, sorry. Seems like connection issues. Quantum Alchemist. I don't care about moon landings, Quantum Alchemist. I really don't care. And the real question I think you should ask yourself is, why do you care? You're talking about something from, 50 years ago. Who cares? It doesn't make any difference. Oh, dear God. What was I saying? Anyway, I guess that's it, guys. Merry Christmas, everybody. What do you think about Chinese Pizza Huts? Finally, a pertinent question. First time I saw a Chinese Pizza Hut was in Xi'an in 2012. I thought it was the most bizarre experience. Pizza Hut in America is just a garbage restaurant. It's like you wouldn't go there unless you really only had $3 for lunch and just were craving pizza. You go in there and it's basically the same people that work at the movie theater, pimples all over their face, they're in high school. It's garbage food. But in China, Pizza Hut is way nicer. I mean, they have pastas and desserts and all these drinks, steak and everything. And the one in Xi'an had a waiter with like a napkin draped over his arm to like open the door for you and everything. It was such a bizarre experience. What games do you play currently? Obviously, I play Master of Magic, which is the best game ever. I play StarCraft 2 on the American server occasionally, and I used to play Diablo 3 on the Chinese server, but it's such a crap game. It's very hard to continue. I think my Paragon's like 4,000 or something, 4,000 or 5,000. But it's really tough to play. But maybe I could stream myself playing on the Chinese server. It's kind of interesting. Do you like North Korea? I don't know. Never been there. There is a robot in the chat. Oh, I'm sure. Sure, you guys are all robots. I'm actually just in a room talking to myself right now. Eat hot pot, forget about the pizza. Yeah, exactly. Pizza is no good. Pizza Hut is disgusting in Panama. Who's the girl on the bottom right? Bottom right. The girl? Do you think that's a girl? Japan, McDonald's has nori sauce, etc. Yeah, McDonald's is different here. McDonald's is even different within the United States. Like if you're in New Mexico and you go to McDonald's, you can get green chili on your burgers. McDonald's in Canada, where it's much less free than America, you can buy beer. I think it's Canada. It's either Canada or France. Do people judge your tattoos in China? It's about the same as in America, I guess. I mean, in America, most people don't feel that judgment because they might live in like LA or I don't know, something like that. But there's still a lot of judgment about tattoos in America. In China, it's a little bit different because as a foreigner, they kind of, most people outside of the cities, they just don't really, you're kind of like an alien to them. So they don't really know what to think about it. I wish I was a robot some days. Is it difficult to live in China without knowing the languages? It depends on what you want to do. I know enough Chinese to understand something like 80% of what a regular conversation is happening around me, so it's not too bad. You just kind of pick it up. Chinese KFC is better than the Yank stuff. I don't know. I kind of disagree. I think it's about the same. Anyway, I don't know why I've been sucked into talking about Pizza Hut and KFC. This is the type of stuff I'm sure you can get from other channels. Anyway, guys, it's been 50 minutes. If anybody has any real questions, not about Pizza Hut, let me know. Oh, Sammy Zeto? How do you say that? Thank you for the 18 Hong Kong dollars. I think that's it. 2 super chats, huh? Well, I guess Christmas is over. Let me check the live thingy. Maybe that will Sorry, I still suck at this thing. Yeah, that's it. All right, guys. I'm going to let you guys go. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays, etc., etc., etc. How common are traditional clothes in China? You see them in the big cities about once a month, once every 3 weeks, something like that. If you go to small towns, you'll see a lot of traditional clothing, especially on children. It's super cute. These Chinese kids are so damn cute. You'll see like a little, I don't know how old kids are, 5-year-old kid or something, some little boy, and he'll be like dressed up like a Qing dynasty with the long queue and everything. Or the girls will have like a little headdress thing or whatever. It's super cute. But other than that, there's a little bit of, I guess, like cosplay or whatever that Chinese people do. They also do it for things like weddings or certain celebrations. Thank you, Thomas. Merry Christmas. Am I in Chongqing? No. I've only been to Chongqing once. I flew over there to get some hot pot because everybody kept yapping about how good it was over there. Supply of RTX 3090 in China. Supply is good. I'm using a 3080, I believe. Do you have the relationship with CCP? No, I do not. I don't know what that means. Long live China. True. Do you Taobao? Of course. How else would you get anything? Anyway, are you anti-imperialist? Am I anti-imperialist? I guess the shortest answer to that would be probably yes. I don't like the idea of countries going out to dominate other countries. Have you encountered skepticism of acupuncture and traditional medicine by Americans? Yes, of course. That's the default position of 90% of Americans, is that acupuncture is all BS and traditional Chinese medicine is dangerous BS. I actually used to work at a traditional Chinese medicine shop in America, believe it or not. Please talk about the principles of communism. What? Why? Why do you keep saying that? I'm not an expert in communism. I'm not a communist. I'm not a political guy. I don't espouse any sort of political views other than, hey, let's not judge everybody based off of our feelings, and let's not try to attack other countries and force them to be like us, even if we think what they're doing is wrong. That's what I believe. It's not about promoting something. It's about not being violent with our trying to enforce our views on everybody else. So I guess you could say that's anti-imperialism. But imperialism, you can expand it to mean more things, but it doesn't necessarily by default encompass all of the ways that you can sort of take over other cultures. Gosh, you guys are very demanding. TV shows you watch when you were younger. TV shows I watched when I was younger. I don't know. There's so many of them. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I don't know. How are your bones? Doing okay. Do you allow your followers to meet with you? Well, sometimes I meet people who know who I am. I don't allow or disallow people. I don't do like fan meetups necessarily because I'm not here to become some popular guy with my fans, right? I don't really, I don't know. I'm not really into that type of thing, personally. How long have you lived in China? Almost 8 years now. The movie that you love. Well, I did do a video about this called My Favorite Movie, so why don't you watch that video? What are your thoughts on Nicolas Cage? He was good in Raising Arizona. Can't say that I liked him in anything else. Maybe Con Air, I guess. He was pretty good in that. Let's see. I don't know why I keep doing this. Caleb Maupin would love to interview you. You should send him a message. I don't really do a lot of interviews. I just did one the other day. But I try not to do that kind of stuff because it's a little too meta. I'm trying to, change things. I'm not really trying to change your opinion of me so much. How much Bitcoin you hold? None of your business. Do you have any suggestions on how to learn computer science? I do. It's the same suggestions that I always give out, and I even made a video about this too. But basically, the idea is this. Start with Linux, and start with a hard one like Gen 2. Don't do Linux from scratch to start, because you won't really learn that much, to be honest with you. Do something like Gen 2 where you're still building from source, but it's a very exhaustive handbook that you can use. Learn Linux. Learn Bash. Ignore everybody that tells you to learn C shell and T shell and all these other shells. Just learn Bash and Linux. When you get that figured out, you will start to already understand computers a lot more than you thought possible. Would you come to Taiwan someday? I've already been to Taiwan. I've already posted many pictures of me in Taiwan. Taiwan's pretty cool. Hey, I love Linux. Probably not as much as I do, considering I have it tattooed right here. I don't know if you can see that. That says Linux, guys. You probably thought that was something super cool, like some death metal band or something. Are you a full-time YouTuber now? I could not survive on the money that comes from YouTube. I don't think so. Full-time YouTuber. No, I'm a CTO at a company. Have you seen The Act of Killing? And if so, what are your thoughts? The Act of Killing. Is that one of those... Let me see what that is. Oh, yeah. Oh, this one? What are my thoughts? Oh, God. I don't want to comment too much about Indonesia because I'm not super knowledgeable about their history, although I've been to their country a few times. A little embarrassing. It was pretty gut-wrenching. If I remember correctly, this is the one in which basically these people are still all just living there with them and everybody's kind of still together. So it's pretty intense. But I always try to be pretty careful about making comments about subjects that I haven't really researched. But I believe I did see that. Do you genuinely believe the CCP are any better than Western governments? I don't know. Is that what you think I think? I feel like I'm not communicating very clearly on my channel when I get questions like that. Do you genuinely believe the CCP are any better than Western governments? I don't know. Do you genuinely believe that we should be trying to force other countries in the world to be like us because we're so much better than everyone else, and also that our system happens to be kind of falling apart at the moment, but still everyone should be forced to be like us? That's kind of more the question. It's not really about which government and parties these other countries have. It's more about us, to me, my country, my culture. Where does your wisdom come from? I don't think I have a lot of wisdom, but my thought patterns, I guess, come from suffering and realizing after a while that everybody suffers and that nobody's perfect. Our countries aren't perfect. Our governments aren't perfect. We're not perfect. And somehow or another, we have to find a way to get along in this world. And I just don't think that forcing everyone to be the same across the world at the end of a gun is necessarily going to be the way to do it. I'd love to know your hair care routine. Your ball game is on point. Well, it's all genetic. Do you consider China democratic? Do I consider these questions? This is why I don't like these types of questions, because I'm sure you have a deeper and more nuanced question to ask, but obviously you can't ask it in such a small form. Do I consider it democratic? I don't really consider anywhere well, maybe not anywhere, but most places to be democratic in the way that people tend to think of democratic things. What's in the jar behind you? Those are nuts. Good question. What are some of your favorite books? The Late Qing Dynasty by Cambridge. That's an amazing book. Recently, I've been reading. I can show you. I'll show you some of my favorite books. You want to know how I roll? You think you know some boring books? I'll show you what I read. It's a horrible nightmare, but somehow I'm addicted to it. Texts. Here we go. Let me switch to desktop. You asked for books. Let's see. So I love reading old mimeographed materials, right? Newspaper clippings, real newspaper clippings. I read all this, all of it. All right, so here's some stuff from 1940, right? People trying to fight in America to stop our support of the Japanese Imperial Army, which is killing and destroying Chinese culture. And just various news clippings, proposals to prohibit exports to Japan, this type of thing. I love reading this type of stuff. It's absolutely fascinating to me to see. Oh, this one's good too. John Slade narrative. I just love these really old testimonials, decrees, and communiques from foreigners in China, about China. So, favorite books, basically anything about China. Gosh, you guys are very specific. Cashew nuts. Yes, there are cashew nuts in here in the jar. You guys are so funny. What is your ideal drink? Can you guys hear that snoring? That's my cat. Ideal drink. I don't know. Whiskey? Water? Is Maoism still popular in China? Depends on how you define it. I mean, basically it gets augmented with evolved versions of their branch of communism, essentially. So, not specifically Maoism, no. Do you have any Native American friends? Of course, yeah. I lived in New Mexico for a long time. There's a bunch of reservations down there. Hello from Jakarta. Why do you prefer China than other civilizations? Oh, that's freaking easy. China has the deepest and most complicated and fascinating history ever. And its people are in this state of trying to reconcile their history with the modern world, and they're evolving into this new type of country that's never really existed before. Because in the dynastic period, China was quite powerful, but in those days there wasn't this level of international interactions. So it's just a fascinating culture. I don't know how anybody could think it's not extremely fascinating. What do I like most about China? I don't know. There's too many things. The people are really great. But I tend to be like I guess you could say, I don't know. I tend to be optimistic with things. Like, let me give you an example. I can walk down the street and I can see people that I know if I knew them personally, I might not get along with them, but I can appreciate what they're doing. I can still think it's funny the way that they're acting, or that it's interesting the way that I can see that they're thinking about things or whatever. So, the people are very fascinating to me. The culture is very fascinating. Most of the food is really good. My favorite part about China, I don't know. It's such a weird question. It's like I wouldn't even know how to answer that about America either. There's so many different good things. Do you agree that Decos is better than KFC? I don't eat either of those, to be honest with you. Have you ever been to Wuhan? No, I haven't. I haven't been to Wuhan, actually. Although I will definitely be going there by the time that I reach about 1900 in Epic China, because I need to do some research, because that's where the 1911 revolution kicked off. Can you eat spicy? I mean real spicy Hunan spicy. Well, let me tell you something. And this is going to sound like a lie, but I'm used to nobody believing what I say, so go ahead. Someday I'll be able to prove this to you. Let me put it this way. If there's a spicy eating challenge available that's local to me, I have a good chance to win it. Remember earlier when I said I went to Chongqing to eat some hot pot? I asked them for the spiciest stuff. Everywhere I go, I always say I want the spiciest that you have. And often the waiters and waitresses will very skeptically look at me as if they're unsure if I can finish it, and I'll just eat it like it's nothing. I think Rich is an atheist. Yeah, I guess I'm an atheist. There could be some sort of creator type of thing theoretically, but I don't see any reason to believe that it would be a specific religion's creator or anything like a god that we could think about. Have you been to Guangdong? Yes, of course. Many times. I'm your competitor. Okay. All right. We'll see you at the competition. Yeah, exactly. Does someone seriously think Hot Pot King can't handle spicy food? I upset people because I can eat such spicy food that they talk about spicy food and then they come around me and they're very surprised. Do you cook Chinese or Western food for your diet? I eat, the thing about Chinese food is I don't really like to eat it at my home. I like to go out to eat Chinese food. Do you like Kung Fu? I don't not like it or like it. Have you been to Guangdong? Yes. For the second time. Yes. Many times. Every IT conference I've been to always ends up with who can eat the hottest food. That's pretty funny. So agnostic, not atheist. Well, it depends on your definitions there. There's definitions that would allow for me to be called atheist. I'm not saying that there is anything. I'm also not really saying that I'm unsure. I'm saying there probably isn't anything, though there is definitely room for things to exist given the configuration that we see, although I don't find any real reason to believe that. I think that's closer to atheism, but I don't really care. Is Linux popular in China? It is popular everywhere. Do you know any Chinese people that are into Linux? Yes, the IT teams that have worked for me and several of the systems administrators and other technical people here in China, as well as the Python programmers, pipeline developers, and other TDs and other tech people. Of course, everybody uses Linux. Do you plan to come back to the U.S.? I don't know. Not really. I'd like to visit, but it's kind of difficult to travel. Thoughts on Alien and Area 51? I don't really have any. I don't care if there's aliens. I don't see why there necessarily would be any. I was raised believing in aliens as a Scientologist as a kid, but I don't know. I don't really think about that kind of stuff anymore because it's non-consequential, right? It just doesn't matter if there's aliens or not. I think that a lot of the stuff that we wonder about is more for entertainment. We tell us it's to know the truth, but I think it's just more entertainment. Like, I mean, if we discovered that secretly there was aliens in Area 51, what difference would that make? Like, why would that matter? I don't know. It just doesn't make any difference to me. Can you buy a house in China? You can. I don't know what that means. Hi, Nathan. Do you talk to other China YouTubers? No, I do not. Do you like Danzig? Well, I liked Danzig when he was in the Misfits. I mean, when Mother came out, I didn't really think it was particularly amazing. Sam Hain is good, but Sam Hain is good because they're like the Misfits, really. I mean, Halloween is good, their version of Halloween, etc. What are the similarities between Chinese culture and Jewish culture? There's a lot. Will Lee trying desperately to figure out where I live. Is YouTube banned in China? Everything's banned in China that doesn't follow Chinese laws, as far as I'm aware. What's the best typo negative album? Bloody Kisses? I guess. Or actually, their new one, what's it called? I can never remember the stupid name. I would say the green one, but they're all green. The new one where they're all back to Catholicism and they're singing about abortion and everything. Anyway, that one's good too. Favorite actor? God, you guys are all over the place with this. Misfits Danzig is best Danzig. Correct. Did you see that video of Danzig getting knocked out? That was pretty classic. I saw you on CCTV, man. I honestly, I didn't even watch that. I'm too embarrassed. As a foreigner, can you legally purchase a property? Why is he asking me this again? Yes. Yes. Where are your cats from? My cats are I was going to say salvaged. They are rescued cats. There is a lady that I affectionately call the cat lady, who has this big, basically, basement of an apartment building that they're letting her use, and she fills it with these cats that she just basically catches. You know, the stray cats. She rescues them. She gives them away for free, but she makes sure that your home is able to support cats and that you know what you're doing and everything. So she actually drove like an hour to my home with my first cat to make sure that I understood how to take care of cats, that I didn't have these open windows, and just that it was a good environment. And then she gave me the cat for free. And then I went and got the second cat, who had an ear infection at the time. But anyway, so they're both rescued. I don't like buying from pet stores personally. Have you seen RT's doc about Japan's Lab 713? Fred Tan, there's some things that I say, people think I exaggerate. There's a reason that I seem kind of extreme, which is that I usually don't talk about things that I don't understand. I don't promote myself doing things that I'm not good at. So I only ever talk about the things that I am knowledgeable about, or I try to, or that I am good at. So let me put it this way, Fred. Eating spicy is something I really, really can do. And though you've put 713, I know you mean 731. So let me put it this way. I will take a look at RT's doc, but I'm sure that I know more about Unit 731 than probably anybody in any wing of RT. Probably more than 99% of people in China. Because I've done so much research on that. I've read lots of testimonials, including the Russian court documents. I've seen movies, read books, documents. I have tons and tons of very detailed knowledge of Unit 731. It's a really disgusting subject, but it's extremely important. How old are you? How old do I look? 25 or 26? Do you think coronavirus is planned by USA? I don't think so. No. You need to get more sleep. You look like a panda. You are correct. I woke up, I think I got 5 or 6 hours today. I really don't sleep much. What do you believe about marriage? Do you think it's a good or a bad thing? I don't have any feelings about it. Did your GF influence your perspective about China? Not really. She helps me understand some things, particularly when it comes to social media waves and how people kind of see things on the platforms here and everything. But no, I was already very deeply involved with trying to understand China before I met her. Which IT certifications have you taken in the past? Let me tell you something about IT certifications. I've hired many, many IT staff, and the first thing that I do when I look through their resumes is I look for their training and certifications. If they have something like Cisco training, then I know I have to start digging into their understanding of the actual technologies, because a lot of that can get obfuscated. Certifications and training means nothing in IT. All that matters is, can you actually understand what's happening? Can you think outside the box and fix the thing with the proper level of scalability and uptime? That's really all that really matters. I mean, depending on what you're doing. Programming is obviously different. Is Slayer's song Unit 731 accurate? I don't know. Listening to Slayer was not part of my research. Yeah, Nathan, you should get a Discord server. I had a Discord server, and there was like 3 people in there. One person was complaining that nobody else was in there, and then everyone else was just asking for a WeChat group. So I just deleted it. What's your job in China? I'm a chief technology officer. Maybe I should make a video explaining what that is, but essentially it's in small, mid-sized businesses. I run the teams of IT and other technical departments. Why don't you live stream on Twitch? Good question, Pewy Die. Because I suck at streaming, and I haven't really gotten it to work with both at the same time while still having chat work. How good is your Chinese reading and speaking? My reading's okay, I guess. Not great. My listening is the best. I am going to class multiple times per week for a few months now. I would say that if I were, at a restaurant listening to 3 people talk in Chinese, if I had never met them before, I could probably understand 50% of what they're saying. If they're people that I knew, maybe 70%, 80%. But it's hard for me to speak back because for most of my time here in China, I've had an assistant who translates for me. So it's very difficult to get practice speaking Chinese because most of the time I just listen to Chinese. And when you're at work, nobody has time for you to do your cute little practicing Chinese. They just got to get the work done, Any relationship between 731 and COVID? That's the stretchiest stretch I've ever heard. No. Saw you drinking herbal medicine during your recent video. What is your perspective on Chinese medicine? Well, my perspective is that medicine is a interesting word and concept when you really think about it. You're talking about things that you can introduce to your body, which can make changes or allow your body to make changes. And there are changes that are either directed towards something or beneficial in some way. And those positive changes outweigh the negative changes, I guess you could say. I think it's absolutely proven that at least some Chinese medicine has positive effects. Does all of it? Well, I don't know. But then again, I have a similar feeling towards Western medicine. So I think that the Chinese hospitals here have a really interesting and good way of doing things. At least some of them do, which is that for medicine that you need for prescription drugs or whatever, that's what you get. But you also get traditional Chinese medicines because they feel like, well, this can help you for the long term, whereas you may be masking or just temporarily covering something with the Western medicine. So I think that's a really good way to go. I tend to be a little bit more open with taking medicines. I think that if you can't prove that something bad is happening from you, chewing on some root, then let's try it. Acupuncture, I don't really know anything about acupuncture. I got it once when I damaged my hand. So I don't know. I honestly, with acupuncture, I just haven't done the research. I don't know if it works or not. Favorite black metal album of 2020? I don't really listen to black metal very much. Some of my friends are really into it. I like going to live shows. But I mean, beyond bands like Dark Throne and stuff like, stuff like that, I'm not really into it so much. China may have detected the virus first, but that doesn't mean China is the origin of the virus. All other conspiracy, I think, is unlikely. Well, I mean, China, according to the timeline that we know now, China was the third country to have the virus. So until that changes, I don't see why anybody would think it started in China. Hi, Nathan. Do you feel upset when people slander America not based on facts, simply slandering U.S. under your videos? No, I don't. I also don't feel upset when people slander China not based on facts, simply slandering China underneath my video or other videos. I don't really care what a YouTube or other video comment says. What I care about is people who are making videos that reach large audiences or people that have a lot of influence. And I've said this a lot. Like, I don't really care if you or somebody doesn't like China. What I care about is if you're making media for consumption and you're not basing that off of facts. Are you in Shanghai? No. I wish, though, because it's freezing here. Favorite music genre? Probably D-beat, crust punk, something like that. Are you worried about coming to America and being attacked by people that don't agree with your views? Not really. I mean, I don't go to America very often. I don't really worry about people attacking me for the most part, other than the fact that I do get death threats, but I mean, you can't live your life worried. What is your ending music? Recently I've just been choosing random stuff. What do you think of a degree of data analytics as someone who works in IT? Well, data analytics is not IT. If you mean statistics. I think that that's a fascinating field. I have a friend who programs in R, and he just loves, he loves data. He started out as a psych major, though. Are you in Shenyang? No, but Shenyang is a very, very interesting place. If you want to find out some interesting history of Shenyang, you should look up Mukden. Mukden. Do you train in martial arts? What's with all this weird kung fu questions? Favorite video game? Master of Magic. Do you play SC2 co-op? I play custom games on SC2. I don't really play like the real game because I'm not that good, and I don't get intense with it. I just lazy play. Why am I answering all these questions, guys? All right, I'm gonna kill it at an hour and a half. That's in like 5 minutes. Have you gone to Hong Kong? Yes, of course. Have you ever been to Xiamen? Yes, of course. Xiamen's cool. The company that I used to work at had a branch down there, so I go down there a few times a year. Can anyone see my message? By Corvus. No, we cannot see that. Nobody saw that. Pewy Die. Do you play PS4 or PS5? I have a PS4. I bought it for Final Fantasy VII, but honestly, I wasn't impressed. Now I just have it for Mortal Kombat 11, and I don't even really play that. So I just kind of have one sitting here. I don't really use it very much. So that's why I haven't upgraded. Will you stream on Bilibili one day? Maybe when my Chinese is a bit better. What motorcycles you like? Well, I don't ride motorcycles anymore. But Ducatis are always nice. Nathan, how is Chinese Christmas? Everybody eats American food. No, I'm just kidding. Only Americans will probably get that joke. Okay. Guess Nathan doesn't want to answer my question regarding Marxism then, which is fair enough. Well, Corvus, I have a big news for you, dude. There's a lot of different questions. So let me scroll up since it's so important to you. Not trying to catch you out with the communist theory question, by the way. Just genuinely curious. You're in good company here. What question? Are you the guy who... I'm wondering how familiar you are with the works of Marx, Lenin, or Mao, which CPC has based their policies on. How familiar am I with it? Is that the question that you're bugging me about? Well, I'll tell you. There's a rip that I did, which I can show you here, from a website called bandthought.net. And it has a lot of documents written by Mao and a lot of communist theory. I've gone through a lot of that stuff. I haven't dedicated my time to reading all that. I sort of get the gist of the various branches of these political theories. But as I've maintained since day one, I'm not really a political guy. I don't really make a lot of claims about what people should be doing with their country. So, and it's just not really that interesting to me now. I will have to get into it more as I get further into Epic China. But for the most part, what I study is Qing Dynasty politics. But I don't claim to be. Do you still work in Base FX? No, I do not. I quit in 2018. Merry Christmas. When people notice you outside, is it more Chinese or foreign peeps? Well, do you live in China, dude? Because there's not a lot of foreigners here. It's both, I guess. I get, depends on where I am, I guess you could say. Are you a member of the Chinese Communist Party? No, I am not a communist. I don't, as you just found out, I'm not even really into politics. I'm just into the concept of, like, can we not force everyone to be like us? How do you make your videos? Software? I use Premiere. Is that what you're asking? Adam, maybe I'll do a live stream where I will make a video live. How about that? Ever played Dynasty Warriors? No, I haven't. I played Sangguo, is that what it's called? Total War Sangguo. That was okay. I actually liked it. I paid for it and everything, and then I didn't play it anymore. What tips and advice do you have for people searching the web for info about China? I often find that search results are flooded with anti-China propaganda. It's a really good question. You are asking a really tough question. Damn, what is the answer to that? I don't know. What I do is I look up the Western reports, and I'm just hypercritical of every word that they say and how exactly they mean it and what are they suggesting. I have to click every single link, look at every study, and really think about my experience versus how they're describing things, etc. It's very tough. So I don't know where to find that. You really kind of have to balance the really pro-China stuff, the extremely anti-China stuff, which is almost all of it, and some try to find desperately anything in between and really have to just spend so much time doing it. Use Yandex? That's none of your business, sir. Don't use Google. I actually do try not to use Google because it's just an obnoxious company. Nathan is getting fat. That is true, Thomas. Thank you for noticing. Thanks for telling the truth about China and unveiling the lies. Honestly, I consider what I do not really about China. I mostly comment on my own culture. I don't know why this is such a weird, controversial view, but can we not try to force the whole world to be like us? Is that okay? All right, guys. Well, I'm going to take off. It's been an hour and a half. To answer your question, I will do more live chats, live streams, and yeah, I guess see you guys later. Cheers, everybody. Thanks, and Merry Christmas to everybody. And